Welcome to the Quantum Awakening podcast, where we invite you to embark on a profound exploration of conscious evolution, human transformation, DNA upgrades, and the harmonious fusion of science and spirituality. Guiding you through this enlightening journey are your dynamic hosts, Sharon Milne Barber and Amanda Bowden. With their extensive knowledge and expertise, they will serve as your trusted leaders of knowledge. Sharon, with her deep spiritual insight and celestial race knowledge, will shed light on the mystical aspects of your existence. Meanwhile, Amanda will share her expertise around manifesting, mind-body-soul connections, and how science and psychology are intertwined with spirituality. Join us on a transformative journey to enhance your perspective and to bring you enlightenment.
Hello and welcome to Quantum Awakening, Exploring Conscious Evolution. And today's podcast is about deep core healing. And with me I have Amanda.
Hello.
And I'm Sharon. And if you don't know our surnames by now, you haven't been listening. It's going to be one of those sessions. I'd like to say we've actually got a cup of tea, but today we've actually got some water because we're a bit teed out, aren't we?
Yeah.
But make sure you got a nice tea and coffee with you.
Stay hydrated. Keep your brain going.
Yeah, that's it. So what is deep core healing? Well, part of my journey, if you haven't realised by now, is I write books. And each book I've written has been reflected a stage of my spiritual growth here on earth and my ascension. So just always when I finish a book, I think there's never another book. And then they brought in the words deep core healing to me. And as usual, I didn't quite know what they were talking about. So the book starts off with an introduction for your understanding. Deep core healing is a journey of acceptance, to let go of what has caused bad health of the human body and mind. It is a process through the use of clinical human medicine, holistic medicine and healing. Eventually using holistic healing to maintain your health. So that is the basis of the book. The book explains different areas you can heal, different types of holistic treatments that you can work with, and it talks about dimensions, Reiki, all sorts of things that will help you heal, and the healing choices for humanity are in it. There's just so much information in here. It's and there's also I coming from the holistic point of view of healing, so like Reiki, and Amanda's got a section in here which comes from her point of the NLP and her work that you do.
Yeah, so like NLP is holistic though.
Yeah.
It's holistic psychotherapy, I believe it's called.
So since I've written this book, I've moved forward in my understanding, and hence we call this the Quantum Awakening podcast, is that my guides have brought to me in the last year the understanding of the quantum energy.
Yeah.
Our first podcast is about this. But what I'm going to say to you now is something which has come to me in the last week or so. So if you're an holistic healer, or you're doing spiritual work and mediumship and healing, you've probably heard of the ethereal self. And some people have seen auras of energy around humans. Now,
like you did this morning.
Yeah. So humans have two bodies. We have our physical cellular structure body, and we have what we call our ethereal energy body. The aura is the field of energy around us that is connected to our cellular structure, but that isn't actually our ethereal body. Our ethereal body isn't much more than that. And there is a quantum energy in the universe, an energy level which has a creative intelligence. And when we say to you, oh, we're going to reach the fifth dimension, is unconditional love, You're going to feel bliss. Everything's going to be in the moment. Everything become clarity to you. This is this energy level we're talking about, this quantum healing creative intelligence. This quantum healing creative intelligence brings new ideas. It's always positive moving forward. It's not a negative energy.
No, and that's where we're going through a transition now, and what people will call it New Earth.
Yeah.
We call it.
I've called it New Earth.
Yeah.
We're now into the quantum understanding.
And now we're
the
going
quantum age. It's going to be called
towards the science.
So this is becoming into an understanding. So when this beautiful energy exists in the universe, and every living thing in the universe is connected with this energy. And if you live a healthy life without harm, on a high ascension, you will be connected. You will not have illness. This energy will rush through you, thrive through you, bringing you a new type of perspective, a new intelligence, a new way of being. So that's the ascension progress. When we talk about dimensions, the higher the dimension you go to, and this book has the dimensions in it, the higher the dimensions, the more clarity, the more you are existing in this quantum level of existence.
And the more you're leveling up as you self-develop, because it's a conscious process.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Oh, hand up.
Hand
okay.
up. I just got to add, because it's popped into my head, that, like, for you, when you're talking around the ethereal part of things, so, like, what I've learned going through the MBIT training, because I'm an MBIT coach, is that there's something that is explained in science as a torus. So your heart is the center of our EMF field, which is electromagnetic field, which is what you're kind of learning now, the
connecting
science part
to this quantum energy.
Because every single living thing on this planet has an EMF.
Yeah.
Literally, which is kind of cool. I just want to add that in.
That's cool. So going back to this quantum energy, which is this universal energy, some people call it the God energy, the God source energy, the divine energy. Whatever you want to call it, whatever religion, whatever aspect of life, it's all the same energy. It's a creative
Christ
intelligence.
Consciousness.
Could be called that.
Because
so, yeah, it's whatever humans... We label stuff, don't we?
Yeah,
that we
because
understand.
That's where, from like where we are with our learnings, that's where the God energy is, because the word God in our context is source energy.
Yeah, and so, this is the source I'm talking about. So there's another way of talking about it, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And that's where Christ consciousness has come from, because we have source within us. And so we are Christ consciousness.
Yeah.
And which is where the conscious evolution part has come in, because we're doing it on a conscious level, whereas before we wouldn't be aware of the changes and up-leveling that we was going through, but now we are.
And what's happening now is that certain psychologists, which are working on a higher level of understanding, certain scientists are being brought into that level of understanding. Not all of them, it's a small amount at the moment, because this has got to come in gradually to humanity, because it's going to completely knock out all religions. So it's an understanding from a science point of view, and they're starting to look at it from illnesses and healing. So you imagine your body standing on, say, a rose-coloured energy field, which is this quantum creative intelligence, which is through the whole universe, connected to everything. And you're standing there.
Oh, like golden threads.
Yeah. And you're standing there and you are in a brilliant space. You're healthy, you're well. And then all of a sudden there's a trauma. Could be a death of somebody. Could be you've just had an accident, you've knocked your arm, broke your shoulder, anything like that. And suddenly your body has been knocked out of alignment with this energy, because your consciousness is trying, subconscious or whatever, it's all linked to this, and the cells which are linked to it have just been traumatized.
And that's where the parts, I can't really recall it, but not segment, can't think you call, when they split up parts of you. Fragmented.
Yeah,
that's where the parts, fragments come from.
So I'm trying to put it into the context of, this is so much bigger than the words I'm saying to you, I tell you that. So I'm trying to put it into my 3D brain context. So, and the word cancer is obviously dreaded in many people's minds, especially now. They used to say 1 in 3, they now say 1 in 2. Cancer comes from, so you're linked continuously, you're born into this source of energy, but as a physical form, and you're linked to it. And cancer comes from it's not working, you not connecting correctly to it, or it running through you, and it affects the cells and can trigger the cancers in the body.
That's exactly
as well as fibromyalgia, rheumatoid arthritis, any mental illness. And it's really funny because I was having a conversation with somebody this morning about this who I've never met, and we suddenly had this phone conversation. And she said that in her experience, that she's not met anybody who's developing medium or healer who has not got a some sort of illness like fibromyalgia, some sort of nerve or muscle, something that has been triggered by some trauma in their lives. So this is how the deep core healing comes in, because the human body gets disconnected from the energies. So in the book I'm talking about, feeling balanced, doing meditation in the now. The book is full of all these things can help you find yourself again and connect to this universal energy, this quantum level of age. And what's going to happen over the next few years, and it's going to be quite rapid, like AI, right? Because AI now, a year ago was a word, and it's now full on in our lives. The quantum healing's going to understand it's going to become the same, and it's going to change medicine. It's going to change everything. So watch out for that.
Yeah, because in the line down the future, because there's already technology out there, it's just not available to the public. Like NASA use med beds. Now people believe that these are something made up, but they're not. They've got that much money, obviously, like companies that are higher up and different things, and they've developed them already, but then they have to find an affordable way to bring them down the pipeline, I guess, for everybody to use.
What I'm seeing with this quantum level of understanding now, because even though I started writing about it last year, God, saying last year is weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
Last year I didn't understand it, but in the last week or so I've had this light bulb moment that's brought it all into clarity, and I'm like, oh my God, I really understand it, because it's way beyond my understanding. A lot of the people that are writing about it or starting to speak about it are very educated doctors and all, and I'm not at that level. So my guides have had to bring it into a level that I can comprehend, and they have, which is, and I'm thinking, oh my God, this is amazing. This is the future. This is science understanding that there is celestial beings, there is energy around us. We have aura fields, and when they can tune into our aura fields, they won't be using machinery.
No,
they'll be doing telepathically.
Yeah,
we'll be healing ourselves. This book is talking about self-healing, and when many of you are in a bad way and you pick a book up like this and you can't see the end of that tunnel, all you can see is the black at the front, a book like this will help guide you, and it's a step at a time. I'm also going to plug, when I did this book, they brought in some meditations which will help you. So there's a deep core healing one, there's an energy release. So energy release is to do with so we hold these traumas within our body, and we might have counselling, we might have steps we take for our lives to help ourselves, but we still hold some of that energy within us. And this is why it's called deep core healing, because I'll give you an example of something that's happened to me through the years. So very quickly, estranged from parents, postnatal depression, told I was mentally abused, so I carried that all with me. And I got to a stage in my life in my 50s where I was obese. I was overweight. And there was a lot going on around me. I became ill, went to the doctors. I was told I had fatty liver disease, I had fibromyalgia, I'd already had the menopause and life was crap, basically. I felt physically really bad. And I was put on medication. Never even dawned, even though I'd started on this path, it hadn't yet dawned to me there could be a holistic route out of this.
Yeah.
No, I went into the medical, what I call the clinical medical, and I was on gabapentin, amitriptyline, cocodamol, plus anything else I could take to get myself through the day. And I was functioning. I was functioning with all this. I was working. And then one day, I just thought, this has to stop. And I realised now I had to go through that to learn what I needed to write in this book and stuff like this.
Yeah, makes
and
sense.
I, over 6 months, came off the tablets, the medication, and lost 3 stone in weight. And I became a new person.
Because
and
that's
I
what we
moved
know,
forward.
isn't it?
Yeah.
As a, I don't know, a global community, that's what we go to first, because that's what we know is the medication side first.
That's all we know. A lot of people don't know about holistic healing.
And what
heard of it.
What I realised as well when I was doing Hero's Journey, and I was like observing myself when I went back on my med and doing EMBIT, is that actually 80% of the chemicals that go up into our brain are created in the gut.
Right.
And so I was like, well,
wow.
If all these people that create these medications know this,
why are they doing that?
Why are they only concentrating on the head part? So to me, that means that like
Money.
They know that this is only going to last for a while because they plateau. And I know this because I've gone through it. And then you have to go up and up and up. And like you said, at one point you think, no, forget this.
Yeah.
You've got to stop.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not having this anymore. I got to turn this around.
It takes a lot of strength to do that as well. Oh my God. And you need a support network. I had somebody that helped me with the Keep Fit. I had a husband that supported my diet. And it's that support network you need as well, because it's hard to do it on your own.
Oh, definitely.
Very, very hard. So, so going back to this deep core healing, the quantum level I've been trying to explain to you is the scientists are now starting to understand the spirituality of us, and that is such a breakthrough. It's an amazing breakthrough
because there's so many different parts to it.
Yeah.
And like from my understanding, what I've written about, so like my head is more logical, isn't it? So I like the reasoning behind things and how they work. And as I've been writing in my book, because mine started off as a journal, and they were like, "You got to turn it into a book," and I was like, "No," and it did. But
it's I think it's just like, this information that's coming to me at the moment is through different sources, and I'm taking little bits of it, and I'm relating it to my spiritual lessons of the last 10, 20 years. So as soon as I get the word quantum creative intelligence, I thought ethereal. And it's, see how it's connecting back to the understanding of the ethereal body. So we have this, it's shown as the physical body there and the ethereal body is reflected there. But actually, the ethereal body is everything. And it and the ethereal energy is forever expanding. So when we die, our physical body goes to the ground.
Yeah.
Our soul, if you listen to our soul podcast for understanding some of what we're talking about, the soul goes back to the higher self. What I call the human essence in my work, I now realise is this ethereal energy. So I had this light bulb moment this week that everything I've been writing about is suddenly through this quantum information. Yeah, do you understand what I'm trying to say? Yeah. It's like, oh my God.
That's why I'm trying to...
I get it.
Yeah. That's why, oh my God, I remember now. Thanks for that. I remember now where I was trying to go, because you're going up on the levels, and I was like, hang on now. I need to bring it back down and like bring in my understanding of where, in my first book, not where I currently am now, but for other people as well. So like deep core healing for me is either what we know as PTSD or complex trauma, so C-PTSD. So like PTSD on its own is one traumatic event that you go through. So that like could be, for example, like somebody in the army and they've experienced a really traumatic visual experience, or someone who's gone through abuse. Or on the other scale of it, you can have complex trauma, which is different parts throughout your lifetime. Like I've experienced this through my life, and I've realized now that I get triggered as well, and there's events, and I know when I'm in it now. But you go through a trail of events, and they all add up and they kind of stack on top of one another, like we did when we went through COVID.
Yeah.
And they kept putting the lockdowns in, and then the dates would be similar as well. I don't know if you noticed, like around the kids' holidays.
Yeah.
And they would keep putting the dates on the same thing. So you're stacking on top of trauma that's already there.
Yeah.
And so, like, when this happens, you're not only holding it within the mind, like you said, you're holding the emotions in your body.
Yeah.
And sometimes
triggers migraines in people.
And our soul can take it on as well, because they need to heal as well from a higher self. But like the somatics you can work with when you know what they are. So I'm just going to read off some things that you can experience.
Okay, cool.
When you go through things, not as like, you know, a medical thing, just guidelines that you can take, and it might bring some awareness and light bulbs around maybe what you're like going through. So it could be like you experiencing flashback, the past surfacing and interfering with the present where you are now, having nightmares, having like physical sensations like sweating, panic attacks, feeling sick, shakes, stomach pains, chest pains, dizziness, headaches, and feeling numb. Sometimes you can withdraw yourself, so like withdraw yourself from your circle of friends, that kind of thing. You don't want to go out and do things. You're going on autopilot more. You feel more isolated and alone, and that doesn't mean that you have to be in your house and be on your own. I mean, you can be around people and feel like that anyway.
You're on your, I know what you mean. Yeah.
And then you can
Lonely.
go, yeah, and it's like fight, flight, or freeze and fawn. So your brain goes back into the trauma. And so that's it, where like breathing can help you come back out and balance your nervous system. You've got anxiety, depression, lack of self-esteem, confidence, not being able to concentrate on small things, feeling confused. This is quite a big list.
It is, isn't it?
I know. Frustrated, angry due to not knowing what started or triggered it, because it's more than likely subconscious or unconscious, and you may not even know what it is. So that your sleeping patterns go out. That's normally the first thing that'll go out. Avoiding people, avoiding things that are related to the trauma in general. Might be a person, might be a place, could be a smell, a sound, that kind of thing. OCD, so that's like intrusive thoughts that come in, negative thoughts that you don't want to be there, but they come in, and you can flip them around. Using work as a way to keep yourself busy, so you're ruminating.
So have you put in there how to get out of this?
Yeah, that's where I was going there.
Yeah, that's
literally.
Cool then.
So I was like, so there's some things you can do. Like
that was quite.
I know. It was a bit
it's
of
like,
a long.
Oh my, yeah. I was like, oh wow, I recognise a lot of that.
I know. Well, that's the thing, though, isn't it? It's like I've recognised I'm going partly through it again because of what we've experienced, but like when you go through like a series of events and you're in fear or experiencing like negative emotions, you get put into like survival mode.
Yeah.
And so you just go, right, I'll do this because it'll get me to this next step, and I'll just keep doing this and doing this, and you're on autopilot.
Yeah.
But then when you're aware of some of the things that may be happening to you, you can think, actually now I can stop and sit a little bit with it maybe, and ask myself, what one thing can I do that'll move me forward?
Yeah.
So like
being more in the now than
exactly
shifting forward.
So like journaling, gratitude, definitely brings you back into the now. Asking yourself, do you need professional help from preventing it going any further, or can you deal with it yourself? Like you said, do you have like a good support network around you? Could be friends. If not, again, like reach out to professional. Be kind to yourself. Like that is quite challenging when you're going through something and your mind is on 100 miles an hour and you suddenly think, right, actually, stop.
Find something you want to do in your life, like a hobby or something. Was my get out clause of that.
Yeah. Do something that you enjoy.
Yeah.
Because when you're doing that, you're building the new positive neural networks.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, actually, this feels good.
You take your focus into putting those plants in the garden rather than everything else going on around you.
So you narrow it down and focus on what you want to do. And then when you do focus on like joy and happiness, and this is creating your own joy or happiness.
Yeah.
Because like from past experience going through narcissistic abuse, they don't want you to have any joy. And then you realize, actually, if I keep putting all my focus on them, on the outside, because you get drawn into it, I'm going to turn it now to myself and ask myself, what can I do that's going to bring me happiness and joy and get me through those moments?
It's like you just need to learn to pause. And so we said this in our last podcast, wasn't it? The one before this.
And it's breaking cycles.
Yeah, breaking cycles. You need to just stop and pause and have that cup of tea in your hand and think, what's going on?
Literally. And like one of the easiest things you can do is, some people call it meditation, some people call it mindfulness. In MBIT, we call it balanced breathing. So you literally stop, sit down, or you can do it standing up and just slow your breathing down in through the nose for up to a count of 3 or
helps
however.
With panic attacks.
Yeah, however you feel comfortable.
Anxiety and stress.
Yeah. And then breathe back out through your nose, because when you do this, it balances out your nervous system, because you've got the parasympathetic and the sympathetic part. So I think, let me get this right now. Parasympathetic, I believe, is more like towards stress, anxiety, that kind of thing, future pacing. And sympathetic is more towards sluggish, slow down. But when you breathe through 2 parts of the nose, it gets balanced out. And it brings you back into calm and peace.
Wonderful.
Yeah. And just engaging that part in your head, like we call it like the prefrontal cortex. So when you go into like panic and stuff like that, it's best not, as much as you can, not to ask yourself why. Because that's going to open a can of worms, because your brain's going to go on, actually, well, what can we do then? Let's go and find it, like Google search. What can we do? Why is this happening? And you look for all the things and symptoms, whereas you're better off saying, well, what can I do now? What can I do within my area of control right now that can turn this around? What can I say to myself to flip this around? Where can I go? How can I do this?
Yeah.
Because it kicks in the logical part of the brain, because you want to come out of the back of your head and into the front. And it's just things like your diet, asking yourself how your diet is, and walking. Walking is one of the best things, because you're hitting on all senses and it's fresh air.
My guys keep saying to me, I keep thinking, should I go swimming? Should I do yoga? And they always say to me, walking.
Yeah.
They say it to me every time.
Yeah. Because it takes less effort and less energy, and you can just walk outside your front door.
Grounding.
And and you get in the sunlight, even though it feels like you're not.
So,
yeah,
I'm going to take us somewhere else now.
Go on then, because there's a lot more about that.
The human body is a self-healing machine. Press that red button, you'll self-heal.
Yeah.
Well, that's easy. But anyway, going back to the earlier part of the podcast, so I was talking about the quantum creative intelligence and all of that, connecting with the cells of our body and everything. We have something called DNA.
Yes, we do.
And it's coded.
Yeah.
So this DNA, this coding, comes with the DNA, obviously, of the creation of the sperm meeting the egg.
Yeah.
But there's a lot more than that, because this is, again, connected to this universal ethereal energy, the ethereal part of our bodies, our two bodies, remember what we said earlier. And it holds history.
Oh yeah, like
It holds ancient codes, they call them, for our benefit.
Okay. Like
so if you've had a human life,
yeah,
10,000 years ago, and you were lucky enough to exist in a time when there was, we should have existed on Earth with celestial beings walking the Earth, the understanding of all what we're talking about now existed on this Earth before. This isn't new. This isn't new, what we've been saying.
No,
this is ancient knowledge coming back out again.
Millions of years old.
So, we hold this information.
Yeah.
So if we can get ourselves into a healthy state, a spiritual state, more in the now, less in the linear line frame, but more into less of the worry of the past and the future, but into living on life in a flow, our positive things in our DNA that sits there, this energy can help reignite it, which is happening a lot at the moment in the light workers of Earth.
Which is really bad. I just want to add this little story before we go on. Like, when I went to London on my own, I think it was 2020, I was going to, what do you call it? When they all come together and, like, can't think of the name, anyway.
Conference?
No.
Meeting?
A rally, I'd call it in America.
Oh, okay,
anyway,
rally, yeah.
Yeah. So I was on the coach on the journey there, and I chose not to take my mobile phone, my smartphone anyway, because I thought if I get lost in between all the crowds and stuff, I'm going to be stuck. So I was like, oh my God, I got no music. And I didn't notice this, like I'm on the bus. And in my head, they was like, oh, you'll learn something better. And I was like, what? And so I sat there, and that was the first time ever I learned to do self-healing. Oh. They were like, just sit and slow your breathing down and come into balance.
Yeah.
And I didn't know at the time, but I know now that it was my higher self, Ray, who came in and done healing. And I know when she comes in because I get the sensation on both sides of my head, above my ears.
Oh, cool.
And so that's the very first time that I learned. And I also have learned lately that when we start to go in the fourth dimension and ascend, that's when we start to learn how to self-heal.
Yeah, that's the starting point of it.
And it's scalar waves, I believe, the technical term around it. Ooh. Scalar waves, yeah.
Sounds good.
Just like a line before we go.
Yeah, so the other thing which they've just reminded me of, that we're talking about ourselves. Self, which is good. Not us. People helping themselves. Yeah?
Okay.
But one of our missions on Earth, while we're here, is being leaders of spiritual values and knowledge, and to take the lessons from the awakening, which we're going through, self-healing, and pass it on to our children. So this isn't just people like you and me. This is everybody on Earth should be working their higher self and soul level, whatever level they're at, will be taking that next step forward at some point.
So becoming responsible for themselves.
Yeah, and the way humanity would change is for us all to acknowledge this new healing, this new way of being, which is going to come forward, they're saying, over the next 10 years. And we're all responsible for it. We all have to
co-creators.
Yes, we all have to be I like that word, co-creators. And we will live more in unity.
Yeah, and that's exactly why, guys, this is why we're doing our podcast, because we want to get this information out so we can help as many people as possible, because we physically can't as two people. We can do it.
We can only do so much.
Yeah.
People have to start speaking their truth, and we have to start saying what we've discovered, and we're doing this at a level which we hope everybody will understand.
Yeah.
That aren't the scientists and the doctors. I don't know, how do you call them, everyday people?
No, yeah, because like when
we're all special, aren't we, in some way?
Yeah, special. Yeah, which is why like we work like good together, like me and Sharon, because we're learning off each other, as you could probably hear as well. Not only teaching you guys what we know and sharing our knowledge, but we learn from each other, because Sharon up until now has been more creative, and she's coming into my world and it's going the other way. And this is where the unity timeline's coming from. Because when we learn from each other and communicate with each other better, that's where the magic happens, right?
Yeah.
That's where we're going. But it'll take a while, because mindsets and habits and beliefs are quite challenging to change.
Yeah.
But
it's hard work.
Yeah.
Humanity has got a long, long way to go. But the more people that start to understand the changes that are needed, even if you just do a tiny change once a week in your life, you are rippling out. And this quantum level of intelligence that sits within the universe, which we are connected to, has an amazing pot of knowledge attached to it.
So you call it pot of knowledge.
The universal pot of knowledge. And I understand it all now. Yeah.
I call it the quantum unification field.
So this energy, this consciousness, this creative intelligence that creates, is a source of energy, and there are overseers that oversee this. So what we understand as the God energy is this creative source of energy.
I like to call them guardians, I do.
Yeah, but so there are beings way beyond our comprehension.
Oh, the celestial beings.
Yeah, but these are like
higher again,
way up above the Taurians, the Pleiadians. They're not even been named. They don't name them, and they say that they're like just trying to understand them as the God source energy, but it's not one being. So you got this conscious
collective.
Yeah, and then so it's all tied in. It's quite mind blowing. So
it's magical.
If you want the Deep Core Healing book and the CD, I just sell them together on my personal website. No, sorry, it's not my personal website. It's my Esty website, Bengal Rose Healing. You can link through to it through my website, www.bengalrose.co.uk. And the actual book itself is on Amazon, but the CD is not on Amazon. So, but it's if you're trying to, like I spoke to somebody this morning who has been working on herself for 2 years to heal, because she realised to do her spiritual growth, healing and mediumship, she needed to, because it affects your connection to this beautiful universal energy in your guides.
Yeah, it does.
So like if you're working, if me and Amanda are working on a high ascension level, and all of a sudden you're going through it at the moment with some grief, that it knocks your energies back and it affects your connection, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does.
So we know all about that, and it's just finding something that will help you. And we're not saying holistic healing is the future and it's the way it's going, but at the moment our guides understand the link with the medical clinical, they call it medical clinical medication, and the holistic side need to merge as the science with the quantum.
That's why I'm good at this. You can't see me, but I'm putting my hands together.
And it will do, but so you need to, don't be up. So if you're on medication for mental health, but you say, I'm going to try meditating and find myself a meditation group and blah blah blah, that will help you. Tell your doctor you're doing that, because that's what I did. I told my doctor what I was doing, and she helped me get off my medication. They want you to be well. It's sorry, going to get a bit political now. The pharmaceutical companies don't want you to be well, but and a lot of doctors are now understanding the holistic process.
Yeah,
and it's in the NHS now, and it's expanding, isn't it?
That's what I was going to say too, because like it's on both sides. Like you've got like the polar opposites on some side. You've got like the holistic, which literally means the whole.
Yeah.
So the whole of something, as in, like you say, in the medical side of it, coming together with the science and the psychology and the holistic part of the quantum.
Yeah.
Which is science, really. It's just that they're catching
we can understand this quantum creative intelligence level.
Yeah.
and behave ourselves and be nice and live in unity and meditate and get ourselves into a good state of being, that's when we're going to ascend, and that's when we will be out in the stars and mixing with other celestial beings and having an amazing existence. The planet will become cleaner, we'll respect it.
But I have to remind you that
She's bringing me back down now.
I'm bringing it on a level because
I'm back up with the stars
I
again,
know
mate.
we do that. That's why we're gonna have to go for a walk after this, guys. But I want to remind you, if you're listening as well, that we've had thousands of years of conditioning. Not only from where we are now, from like the beginning of time.
Yeah.
And this takes time. So this is going to be a gradual thing. So don't think that you've got to go, oh my God, I'm going to do this all now in one go. No, like I tend to do.
When I wrote New Earth, they said 200 years.
Yeah.
To get us to a place where we'll be at that understanding.
Yeah, so we've gone
so
past
every
that
human
time,
will have that understanding.
And from my belief and understanding of what I know is whereas people are developing now, by 2025, most people will be telepathic, and they'll might not know what it is, but they'll start to come in towards that and ask questions. Cool. Be connected that
Amazing.
way. So that's cool. So there we are.
Wow, that's our podcast. Oh, hang on a minute.
Hang on, I got one more light bulb moment to add on. I have to add it, otherwise I'll go away and think I haven't added it. So you was on about quantum healing earlier, and I wrote down sun, so I totally forgot to add this in when you was chatting. So at the minute, we've had lots of high energy solar flares coming in.
Yeah.
And then you was talking about codes within the DNA.
Codes, yeah.
So this energy is called photonic light that is coming in is unlocking all of that.
Mm.
And so we're bringing up past life skills, past life knowledge, especially if you're a highly ascended human essence and higher self. So they're coming back in as well right now.
Cool.
I just wanted to add that in
because
it's healing
it all adds to the information. And I guess as always, you'll take what serves you and what you know. If you don't understand some of what we talk about, it's gone into your subconscious, and one day it will ignite. Because I've been to many things in my life, listened to many people, and then suddenly something will trigger. It's like what I'm going through at the moment. Everything I've learnt in the last 10 years is suddenly triggering and falling into place.
Yeah.
And it takes time. It takes time.
And that's a reminder for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we're off now to get some lunch. So we'll see you on the next podcast.
Yeah.
Hope you enjoyed it. And Take care of yourselves.
And we'll pop all the links to our website and books and everything that you've heard within this podcast in the details.
Cool.
Yay.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.